Hello, my friend. It's Matt from Best Friends Club here, and in this video, we're going to be doing a comparison of LALA's old AI algorithm for separating out vocals and stems from audio recordings with their brand new Orion algorithm. So what we'll be doing is kind of a shootout style comparison. I have 4 different tracks that I've used to separate out the vocals from when creating edits and remixes, and I originally did this with the older AI algorithm that LALA has available. Spoiler alert, of course, the brand new fine-tuned algorithm does work better, and what I've noticed is that it does work better in 3 key areas. First is that Orion processes audio in a lot more of a clean way, so there's a lot less artifacts, like little tiny cricklies in the high end, or, for example, the instrumental actually coming through a lot more in the vocal track. Second is that there's a lot more presence in the tracks that Orion processes. So what I mean by that is that when you hear these comparisons, the older AI did sound very good, but you'll notice that it sounds a bit more muffled and a bit less high-end compared to Orion. Orion is a lot clearer sounding, a lot more present, a lot more kind of in your face. A lot of that high-end is preserved, and it does sound much cleaner and clearer. And third, Orion respects and preserves the stereo image a lot more. So when comparing the two, you'll hear that the older algorithm sounded a lot more narrow and kind of mono. With Orion, it sounds a lot wider and a lot just nicer. For me, at least, Orion could not have come at a better time because I've been producing edits and remixes like an absolute menace over the last couple of weeks. And what I've noticed is that when separating files with Orion, there's a lot less processing that needs to be done. So I'm finding that I can extract the vocals from the instrumentals, truck that vocal into my file, and not have to worry too much about any processing. A little bit later down the line, I might do a little bit of EQ, removing some of the low end, maybe some sidechain, maybe some effects like reverb or delay to nestle it into the mix a lot more. But I'm finding that I don't need to shape the vocal as much at the beginning process because just dropping it in sounds great, and I can move on to all the other stuff like building the drums around it, the bass, the melodics, all that kind of good stuff, and actually getting to a finished product. So with that said, we're going to jump into Ableton right now and do the comparison. But before we jump in, if you'd like to experience the magic of vocal and stem separation using LALAL yourself, head over to LALAL.AI or visit the link in the description to sign up today and get started. With that said, let's jump into this. First is a cover of Say My Name. We'll listen to the original source for a brief moment.
Say my name, when no one is around you. Say, baby, I love you, you ain't running game.
So that's the original file that we were processing. So let's go ahead and listen to just the instrumental. First, we're going to listen to the older algorithm, and then we'll switch over to Orion. So this is the older algorithm, just the instrumental. Now let's switch over to Orion. Okay, let's switch back and forth a couple times. Old one. New one. Old one. New one. So to me, what I'm hearing from the instrumental, the difference is that the older one sounds almost more narrow. Like everything's a little bit more mono, sounds a little bit more muffled as well. It sounds narrow and muffled a bit more. In Orion, it sounds, I think that the difference is subtle, but I would say that in Orion, it sounds more open, a bit wider, like the stereo image is being respected more. And it sounds like there's almost like a blanket that's been taken off. It sounds a little bit more present, a little bit more direct. So now let's go ahead and let's switch over. We'll now compare the processing of the vocal that it's separating. So first, let's listen to the older algorithm.
Say my name, when no one is around you.
And now the newer one.
Say my name, when no one is around you. Say, baby, I love you.
The Orion processing there, it's a bit cleaner, I would say. There's less artifacts and weird little noises happening in the background. Definitely cleaner in this. I'm not hearing the stereo image changing as much, I guess because the vocal is probably mono anyways. For me, it's definitely a little bit more clear, present, and more like in your face, I would say. The other one sounds a little bit like it's getting pushed back and there's been some artifacts on it. So let's go ahead and move on to the next example. This is a fun one. This is the one where the song that we recorded and the vocalist put the vocal on top of the vocal track and added reverb and delay to the entire project. So we'll just listen to the original source briefly. So funky for sure. For this example, let's focus on the the vocal comparison. First, let's listen to the older one. Now let's listen to Orion. So this one, I can tell right away, there's just a lot more artifacts and weird little like crispy little things in the high end, and just kind of jittering in and out. Artifacts is the best way I could describe it in the older one. So let's kind of listen for that in the old one. Weird little jittering, like almost like the instrumental coming through a little bit in very weird ways. Still, it's not bad because you can still process that out quite easily. But when you listen to Orion, it's just gone. So there's just less processing you have to do, and it's just a lot easier to work with. So just kind of listen to that. Again, it's kind of the same pattern there, where it's the upper end is clearer, more in your face. It sounds like almost like a veil's been lifted off. Let's go ahead and move over to another example. This one is a cover of Billie Jean by Michael Jackson. Let's listen to the original source.
Don't go around breaking young girls' heart. And mother always told me, be careful who you love, be careful what to do.
Cool. So let's go ahead and listen to the instrumental done by the older algorithm. Cool, not bad. Now let's listen to Orion. Let's switch back and forth a couple times. Old one. Old one. New one. Old one. New one. So again, subtle. I feel like you can almost hear it more when you switch from Orion back to the older one. But with the instrumental, again, it sounds a bit more narrow and a bit more muffled, as if there's something over top of it, like some of the highs have been rolled off or something like that. So let's go ahead and now let's switch over to comparing the vocals. We're going to start again with the vocals done by the older algorithm.
Don't go around breaking young girls' heart. And mother always told me, be careful who you love.
Okay, and switch over to Orion.
Don't go around breaking young girls' heart. And mother.
So this, I think, is a pretty good example here. So in the older one, I want you to really listen to kind of like it sounds like everything's phased, like there's a phaser on top. It sounds like there's a little bit of mufflingness, and you can hear almost like a hi-hat coming in, like it's really high like that. So listen to the older one.
Don't go around breaking young girls' heart. And mother.
See if you could hear kind of that high-end sibilance, kind of like hi-hats coming through a bit. And again, it sounds like almost there's a phaser on there, and it almost sounds like there's like some kind of EQ rolling off the top end. So now let's compare that to the new Orion algorithm.
Don't go around breaking young girls' heart. And mother always told me.
Much cleaner, much more present, a lot more in the high end. It just sounds a lot nicer. Here is an example using a cover of Lizzo's About Dang Time. Here is the source.
Be alright, okay, alright. It's about them time. Turn up the music.
Cool. Now let's listen to the instrumental from the older algorithm. And let's switch over to Orion. Switch back. Orion. Switch back. Orion. So again, I think you can definitely hear that most in the instrumental comparisons. The older algorithm definitely sounded a lot more narrow, a little bit more muffled. You can't hear the artifacts as much as when we listen to the vocals, but definitely it sounds a bit more narrow and muffled, I would say, for sure. Definitely still usable, but it's definitely nice to have Orion now. But with that said, let's go ahead and listen to the vocal comparison. So we'll start off with the older example.
I'm gonna be alright, okay, alright. It's about them time.
Again, kind of hearing phasing, kind of weird, almost like there's a phaser on there. It sounds a little bit muffled and nasally almost. And then I can hear like little artifacts coming in on the high end, like little tss. So let's listen back to that again.
I'm gonna be alright, okay, alright. It's about them time.
And let's listen to Orion now.
I'm gonna be alright, okay, alright. It's about them times.
So yeah, definitely you can hear the difference. I think it's definitely subtle, but when we're working with audio like this and trying to make our songs as best as possible, those subtleties can definitely make a difference. And so having that vocal with the Orion processing that's clear, less of those weird little artifacts coming in, and that kind of phasing issue gone, that's going to be really helpful in a mix for sure. Hello again, my friend, and that was the comparison of the old LALAL.AI algorithm compared to the brand new Orion algorithm. As you can hear, when comparing the two, Orion definitely sounds a lot cleaner, there's less artifacts and the instrumental coming through. It also sounds a lot clearer. The high end is being preserved a lot more and sounds a lot more present and in your face. And you can definitely hear that the stereo image as well has been respected. It's a lot less narrow and sucked in. It's nice and wide and sounding great. So with that said, if you'd like to try out Orion for yourself, make sure you head over to LALAL.AI or visit the link in the description. And other than that, see you in the next video, my friend. Good luck producing. And I've been Matt from Best Friends Club. You've been the best. See you in the next one. Bye, my friend.